Hello YouTube, welcome to Zen Magic and to Fundamentals Episode 3. Today we're going to be talking about shuffles and cuts. Now later today we'll get into the false shuffles and cuts. I'm uploading 2 videos today. For now we need to learn how to shuffle and cut the cards. I'm going to start with cutting the cards since that's the easiest. And then we'll get into shuffles. Okay, so for cuts, there are 4 types of cuts. 3 of them are easy, and one of them is a little bit more advanced. I actually just figured out how to get it working, even though I learned it like 2 years ago. It's a little bit difficult, but we're going to learn it. So, let's start with the easiest cut, which is the table cut. And this is how easy it is. This is a table cut. That's it. And you can do it with as many packets as you want. You can do it with 3 packets. So all you're doing is just holding it in mechanic script. If you don't know what mechanic script is, there'll be a link to my last fundamentals episode where I talked about the basics, handling, and stuff like that. I covered the mechanic script. So, mechanic script is just how you hold the cards. And all you're going to do from here is just grab half the cards. I don't care how you do that. You could do it with index finger, you could do it with middle finger, it doesn't matter. Just grab half the cards, set them on the table, and then grab the rest and drop those on top. That's all it is. And like I said, you can do it with as many packets as you want. You could do it with 3 packets. You could do it with whatever you want. 4 packets even. Now let's move into this cut, which is the swing cut and the swivel cut, which looks like that. So a swing cut, you're going to hold it in, actually for both of these, you're going to hold this in a little variation of the biddle grip. Biddle grip is also in this video, the Fundamentals episode 2, so check that out. Link is right here. Check that out. And biddle grip, basically, you're holding it like this, middle finger and thumb. But we're going to modify it a bit. Instead of in the middle, we're going to move them all the way to this edge, so the cards are sticking out towards the other hand. And if you're left-handed, then you would just hold it like in the other hand. The same way, though, you would hold it like this. Not left-handed, so I do it from right-handed. So you're just holding it like this. And then from there, your index finger is going to pull off half the cards. And then swing them this way, which kind of will happen on its own. You pull them off and swing them over. And then your left hand comes in and grabs the cards, just like that, and then drop the rest on top. That's it. So you're in this modified biddle grip. Your index finger is going to pull off half the cards. You're going to grab it into this packet hand, not into mechanics grip, into like this dealer's grip variation, and then just drop the rest on top. Now the swivel cut is exactly the same, but for the swivel cut, instead of grabbing it, your thumb is going to rotate it around your finger into this hand, and then you drop the rest on top. And so what's happening is, as your hand moves out, your thumb is going to bring it with it. So you're swinging while your hand just keeps moving forward, and that will just rotate it around the index finger. And then just drop the rest on top. So it's going around the index finger. The index finger is the pivot. You bring your hand forward, it spins out into it, and then just drop the rest. I mean, you can swing them both in, but you don't need to do that. You just do it once, just like that. But, I mean, if you want to, it's not going off of the index finger anymore, it's going off of the middle finger. Same thing, but you don't have to do that. Okay, so the last cut I'm going to talk about is a little bit more advanced. It's called the Charlier cut, or the one-handed cut. And for this, you have to hold it into raised mechanic script. And yes, I'm calling it raised mechanic script because it is different than straddle grip. Straddle grip, you have your pinky right here. But for this cut, this is just going to be out of the way. You just want it off to the side, like from here, but now it's up here. Just leave your pinky out of this. The Charlier cut looks like this. You hold it in this grip, and then you just let half the cards go, and then just that. And this takes practice, guys. This is something, it requires big hands. So I actually just got around to learning how to do this, even though I had known how to do it for 2 years. It takes practice, and with everything. Everything takes practice. So let's talk about how to pull it off. Some of you may be able to do it. Some of you take a while. But you're holding it in this grip. Notice the pinky is not over here. If you try to do it like that, it's going to turn out a little bit differently. You just want your pinky out of the way. Alright? So once you have it, you're going to roll your thumb. And that's going to let half the cards go. Now, it's very important that you roll the thumb and not just set cards up like this, because then it won't work. See how I can't really get it out? But when you roll the thumb, it's on the very edge of the cards, which means these cards can still move up. And that's done with the index finger, alright? The index finger just pushes them along the cards. And then eventually you let go with your thumb. It's supporting itself. You keep going with that index finger, and then this packet will drop. You move your index finger out of the way, over here, and then your thumb completes the cut. So you let half the go, your index finger. I wish I could show you what was happening. Here, let's try. This is what's happening, alright? Your index finger just pushing the cards up, 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 till it clears it. This packet will fall, and then your thumb does that. That's my version of, like, demonstrating what happens. Half the packet goes, your index finger moves it up, eventually it falls, and then there. And this takes practice. When I started doing it, I would need, like, my other hand to help it. But when you keep practicing, you can do it one-handed, which is what you're supposed to do. And it is a little bit more difficult, so I'm going to recap. Your pinky is out of the way. I cannot stress that enough. And you're rolling the thumb. When you roll the thumb, it's on the very edge of the cards, which leaves this big gap so that the cards can actually make it all the way up. Then you let go with your thumb. It supports itself. Keep going with your index finger. The packet will eventually clear this one and it will fall. Move it out of the way, and then it just drops on top of itself. And that is the Charlier cut. When I first learned this, I would actually use this. This is an old deck that I made recently. It's 2 halves of a deck duct taped together so that I could learn the cut. Obviously, I don't need to worry about cards falling off, but it does have its own downsides. The duct tape obviously isn't this clear coating stuff, so it doesn't move around as easily as these do. But remember, as with other things that we're going to talk about, these only work if they're done at speed. Alright, when you go slow, that gives the cards the chance to fall. See how that happens? But when you do it at speed, that doesn't really happen. So practice it. You don't need to do this. I just did this because I was having trouble learning it. But you can do that if you have an old deck. If you don't, then don't do it. Alright? So, now we've talked about the cuts. Let's get into the shuffles. So, in shuffling, there are 4... Actually, we're only going to talk about 3 shuffles. The first one, I'm actually going to start with the simplest one, the one that everyone's familiar with, and that is the riffle shuffle, which just looks like this. That's the riffle shuffle. And here's how it's done. When I see people do this, they always they riffle the cards into the other hand. I can't figure out exactly how you're supposed to do that, so I just hold it in this horizontal straddle grip that we talked about in the fanning video. That's also Fundamentals 2, where we did that for the one-handed fan. Remember the one-handed fan? It's basically that. You're holding it like this. Your other thumb is going to come in. You're going to grab half the cards. and then flip them over. Now, this shuffle does work with one-way cards. Because of what you're doing to the... It still stays the same direction. You don't need to worry about the cards getting all turned around. This works for one-way back designs. So once you're in this position, you're going to grip with these bottom two fingers, the middle and ring finger. And you're going to grip them. Alright? They need to be gripped very tightly. Your index fingers are going to bow the cards out. This is called bowing the cards when you create this little bend in them. And then from there, you're just going to alternate with your thumbs. And we'll talk about the rainbow close part. But I want to point out a couple of things here. The first one is the distance. The distance you are determines what happens. If you're too far away, nothing happens. But if you're too close, it might not actually work. I've had times when they were so close that they would, like, get stuck. It's not happening right now, but what happens is you end up with this little tent kind of thing, and then they don't actually riffle. Let's see if I can actually get one to happen. Yeah, it's not working right now. This deck is different. But you'll know what I mean if you ever try it when you get too close. The distance needs to be right, and you'll just have to experiment with it. Normally for a rainbow shuffle, they should be like just on the very edge, like that. Now let's get into the rainbow part. For the rainbow, still keep a very tight grip. You want to be able to bend the cards up like this without them falling until you want them to. Notice how my thumbs pin the cards so that they stay like this. And then to do the rainbow, you just let go with these fingers and it will fall on its own. Just release pressure. That's all it is. You just release pressure. So again, you riffle by alternating. Grip the cards, bend them up, relax your grip, and they fall. And that is the rainbow shuffle. Or I've heard some people call it bridge shuffle, which I think is something different. But now let's talk about the dealer's shuffle. It's so named because this is how dealers shuffle. You see in the movies, they deal rainbow shuffle, but dealers in casinos don't actually do that. The dealer's shuffle is a special kind of shuffle where the cards are staying very low to the table so nobody can actually see what the faces are. And then from there, it doesn't have any, like, cool, you just have to weave them together. But let's actually talk about how to go about doing this. So, you're going to hold the cards like this in your hand. Alright? Your other hand's going to come over and pull off the top half of the cards. And you square them, and you're holding them like this. And then the corners are just going to be weaved together just like that. And then from there, you relax it, and then you just push them together in like a pharaoh shuffle. You just kind of scoop them up and then push them together. They came apart, didn't they? Yeah, they did. Okay. Let's try that again. So you're here, you start riffling the cards, and then you just push them together. Just like that. Just like that. They stay very low to the table, so nobody actually sees what they are. Let's talk about a few things with this. First of all, actually, the grip is very important. In the Rainbow Shuffle, we talked about how you grip the cards. For this, you kind of want relaxed pressure. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time pushing the cards together, and they'll actually end up doing this. In this, like, block, and then it won't go together. Only some of them will. Which is actually a false shuffle that will also be posted today. First, you got to practice the actual shuffles. And check out fundamentals, too. I'm going to switch decks real quick for the final shuffle, which I promised I would mention in my last video, which is the Pharaoh Shuffle. I am also going to be doing a redo of the Giant Fan, because I don't think I really explained it that well. Now that you know how to do the Pharaoh Shuffle, which I'm going to teach right now. By the way, this is Arcana Alpha, also from Brian Brushwood's store. Highly recommend that channel. Link in the description. Or actually on my channel. These cards handle pretty well. But this isn't a deck review. Alright? If you guys want that, comment below. And I will start doing deck reviews. I've got a ton. But I'm going to try to demonstrate this. So the Pharaoh Shuffle, you get half the cards in each hand. And here's what's happening. The cards are actually going to be weaved together. First thing to notice, I'm holding them at the very edge. That gives them room to separate into this little every other card display. And then from there, you can do the giant fan. Or just close the cards up. Which, I'm actually going to change the position for the giant fan. Hang on. We're going to change position. Okay, so the Pharaoh Shuffle, again, you're going to get half the cards in each hand. And notice I'm holding them at the corners. The far edge. That way they have room to spread out. And what's happening is as you press the cards together at the corners and you angle it up, you can see that they actually are starting to separate. And they eventually weave themselves together. You can see there's a little bit where it didn't happen. And then from there, you just grab the cards and let them close. It's really cool. So, again, it's very important outside. And here's what's happening. You're going to press at the corners. And when you do that, it's actually going to angle them out like this. The Pharaoh Shuffle is what's called a perfect shuffle because they get perfectly intertwined if you do it correctly. And mathematically, 8 perfect shuffles puts the deck back in the same order. So if you have a brand new deck, you Pharaoh Shuffle it 8 times, it will be back in the same order. Don't ask me how that works. It just does. So, oh my god, I just caught it upside down here. Okay, so I'm going to do a little redo on the giant fan, now that you know how to do the Pharaoh Shuffle. So, after you do the Pharaoh Shuffle, you'll notice that I have a card right here, and a same card on here. Alright? There's no top cards on the outside. Only the bottom cards are on the outside, which is what you want. And then from there, you're going to grab it like a normal fan while you're holding it at this intersection. And then you just fan it normally. Why do I have cards upside down? And you're going to get this giant display of the cards. Just like this. This is the giant fan, and then from there, you can close it. Some decks, it looks really cool when you Pharaoh Shuffle them because of the back design on them. But you're just doing that. You get half the packet, Pharaoh Shuffle it, make sure only the bottom cards are on the outside. And then, from there, you do this giant fan display, and it looks really cool. It's actually supporting itself, so you don't really need to worry about cards falling off unless you didn't do it right. Super cool display. And that is the Pharaoh Shuffle. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel down here if you haven't already. And turn on notifications so as soon as the videos come out, you can learn the fundamentals quickly. Thanks for watching, and remember, we perform to amaze. See you next week.